Welcome back to the channel. Today, guys, we are going to be working on getting our emergency brake set up for our 2016 Ford Mustang center console. So, yeah, I ended up picking that up for like 50 bucks off Facebook. I wanted a center console that I could actually have some cup holders, a good placement, and that would match kind of the theme I have going with the black and red interior and the black and red kind of the car. I like the TMI ones, but everybody does it, and they're like, you know, I think they're like 900 bucks right now at the time of looking at them, and that's a lot of money. And while they look nice, I don't like that the cup holders are right between like where your elbow could go, and then with the shifter. I don't really like that. And then reading around online, you have to cut everything out anyway. So, you know, I was like, man, $900, you make a bad cut, or you're not happy with it, you're out like 900 bucks. You really can't salvage that or anything. So, really just look around online. I was actually looking at like a different Mustang console, trying to see things that would fit with the T5 transmission. I was originally going to use, as you guys can see, I don't know if you can see it down there on the bottom shelf, or right down there, I have my OEM center console, and I was actually going to look at buying the shifter plate to switch that one over to a manual. But that shifter plate to go from automatic to manual, I mean, it's a couple $100, and you still don't have like cup holders or anything like that. So I wasn't exactly sold to spend a couple $100 just for a piece of nice metal that then would look way nicer than the rest of the console itself. So I figured to save some money and then to hopefully make some money back, I'm going to sell that one. You know, and it'll easily pay for, you know, the 50 bucks I got in on the 2016 console. So with that being said, the 2016 console, as you guys saw, fits pretty good. I haven't cut out anything. I haven't modified it at all. I brought you guys along for a time lapse. That time lapse, don't let it fool you. I have probably another hour of just sitting in there trying to measure things, get stuff figured out, exactly where it needs to go, how it's going to sit, how, you know, what's going to fit, how it's going to, you know, what do I need to do with the T5 to make sure it's going to fit inside the hole. You know, I have a couple hours in on that, and then before I turned on the camera, you know, I have my neighbor little kid comes over all the time. He's been working on the car. He likes it, but kind of hanging out with him for a little bit and measuring some stuff, trying to get a good center point. So what I found, kind of where I want to be, is I took a common measurement off of the center console itself, right in the middle. I just used, it doesn't really matter what you use, just a reference point is all you need. And same thing on the actual 67 Mustang itself. I went from door card to door card where the armrest was, and basically got that. I think my measurement ended up being like 27 inches, and that seemed to be, you know, pretty good. We're gonna have a little bit of wiggle room when it's all said and done anyway, so we should be fine if that's not exact. But originally when I put it on there and I thought it looked good, it was measuring like 3.5 inches over towards the driver's side, the entire center console. So it was shifted 3.5 inches over the center console, and then I was like, well, can't really have that. I want it to obviously be kind of straight, how it's supposed to sit. So what we did was I just took a center point of the center console, kind of where that stitching is on the cubby, and just took the same reference point right off of the dual door handles on the 67 Mustang door panels, and I got that kind of set into place. And then I had to mark my hole for my emergency brake, so I wanted to reuse that emergency brake. Another thing with that console, it doesn't have an emergency brake in it. I prefer the hand brake right there, and my car doesn't have an emergency brake system at all. So it has a couple of the components under the dash, and that's it. Everything else super rusty. I cut a lot of it out because it was so rusted, like the little wheel and the gears and everything, when I did the floor pan way back when. So I would have to redo that entire system, and even buying the kit for that, you're in, you know, 100-200 bucks probably for everything. I was starting to look through it all. So I think this is going to be a little cheaper route. It's going to be different than everybody else, which I like to do. And I think it's ultimately, you know, it serves the purpose that I want it to do, which is to, you know, have a good shifter position, have some cup holders, and I don't really care about the cubby in the back, but hey, you know, it's nice. But I specifically sought out that year after looking around, because as you guys probably saw in the time lapse, it's black and has a lot of chrome on it, and I think that'll look pretty good, all things considered. And it has the camera kind of plasticky texture to it, I think is what they call it, the camera. And you know, that looks kind of like fitting with some of the other parts of the car, but that still has some chrome. It's not all blacked out. You know, then you could put little, you know, if we wanted to accent with some red in there, which we are, we got some different stitching and stuff to kind of tie it all in together, and I think it's gonna look really good. And all in, we're gonna be like, I think right around 150 bucks. So we got the console itself, then I had to buy the emergency brake handle, and then I bought different stitching for the cubby that's black and red stitching, and same with the emergency brake handle. So, and then I just bought generic line. So because this will be welded in up at the front and everything, it'll just be as simple. You just, you know, have to do a line and tie it into the back to the brakes there. So I think it's going to be pretty easy. So with that being said, now that I got done rambling on, we need to build a plate, because basically where that center console sits, I have marked it out as you guys saw. The actual emergency brake handle, where it sits, it's got a 90-degree on it, and where it has a nice big thick gasket to go through the trans tunnel on the newer Mustangs, we're going to try and mimic that. And then basically with this plate, that's going to allow us to have just a little bit of adjustability to move everything over to if we need to, once we kind of get it set in place. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to build a little box for that emergency brake to sit on, and we're going to have to weld that to the transmission tunnel, and you know, then we'll be good to go. And I mean, that's it. It sounds simple. It's just going to be a lot of little work. So we're going to cut this now. I just happen to have some flat stock just kind of on hand, and it's like, what is it? I think it's 16 gauge. It's 1/8 inch. So, you know, that should be plenty, especially once we weld it in there. You know, weld it in, get a nice platform, and then we're gonna like kind of gusset, I think, and really, or triangulate or box that in, because I want that to be nice and strong. And especially because my welds are not very great, so I figured if I could do a lot of them, you know, they should hold. But we'll find out. And then that'll give us the location for the emergency brake handle also to mount. So it has like the mounting on the top side here, and then it has 2 or 3 bolts on the bottom that you go in to the transmission tunnel. So if we have a nice spot here, we box this in. Essentially, we'll have a nice little spot for all that stuff to mount to. And I'm probably just gonna do some rib nuts, and then I'll do a couple, if I need to do like some spacers, which I don't even think I'm gonna have to. I think once we have this sitting flush, I was looking at it, I think it's gonna almost sit perfectly up against the trans tunnel, so we just drill it out, throw some nut inserts in there, get some beefy hardware, and call it good. Perfect. So what we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna go ahead and cut this down. I have a measurement of 4 inches by 3 inches here. It's not exact, I wanted 3.5, but this comes in 3-inch wide. It's already done, so we're just gonna roll with that. It should be good. And yeah, the 4-inch piece, I think we're gonna be rocking and rolling here. So I'm gonna cut that off with the grinder, and then we're gonna kind of start fitting it back up in the car, and kind of see where we're gonna go from there. All right, guys, we're back in the car now. It's gonna be kind of hard to see. I have all the carpet kind of, you know, pulled up out of the way a little bit for the trans tunnel and some of our sound deadening and everything. I'm gonna try and get out of the way a little bit. But basically what we did was we took our measurement earlier. It is right here, this dot, right here in our sound deadening. So what we did was I took the emergency brake handle here, grab it, and basically the way this is framed is you have these 2 bolts, you know, these 2 mounting locations here, so right there and kind of back over here on the screen, and those go in sideways. Then you have the gasket, it looks like, on the cable itself. Then this cable goes down and it has, you know, a little pulley and a little tensioner and everything like that, which I'm assuming I can then add in the brake line to there. But what we need to do is it mounts kind of like that. Oh man, I wish I could zoom out more. Let me flip you over to the other side so you guys can kind of see. Hopefully a little bit better. My phone no longer zooms out to, so we're kind of stuck a little bit. But essentially we have our mark right here, guys, and we have that bottom mounting piece right here that looks like it's a really good like gasket, the foam and everything to keep water and everything out. So I want to try and maintain that. And we have our hole for the mounting on the top of the transmission tunnel. This is the hole that I based everything off of. Basically, as you guys saw, I had to take like a Sharpie, extend it and kind of mark it, and then remove everything. And I just drilled it out a little bit just so I had a nice big portion where I knew where this has to go. But if I put this in here, it's gonna be kind of hard, especially now I have all this carpet and everything. So if I try to get that hole to line up, I wish I could hold it with something. All right, so we have it right there. You can see that we're a little bit short with our mounting holes on the sides. You guys are it's gonna be very difficult for you guys to see. Let me see if I could. You know what? I could just drill a hole through it to start. Have something to mount it. Alright. Well, now we have a hole. And here's a bolt. Cool. Ran a bolt. This should be kind of nice. Oh, that's not really a big enough bolt. Well, it'll at least kind of hold everything into where we need it. And guys, I'm not worried about that hole. We're gonna have to, you know, make something bigger anyway. So not worried about it. Do wish it was something bigger. Let me see if I have like a screwdriver or like anything I can throw in there right now. It doesn't look like it. Let me see. Make it a lot easier to see what's going on. Oh, it's cold and windy. Alright, so I just grabbed a little rasp that I have here, or a file. And I have a bigger bolt that, ooh, that's like perfect, sweet. So let's put this up, mount this up, so you guys can kind of see what we're working with. There we go. Oh, it doesn't fit through there. Alright, well I'm not going to drill that out because I don't want to have something too big. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. But regardless, we're going to need a hole down in the transmission tunnel. So not exactly too worried about that. You know my doors, they like don't stay closed. This driver's side one, even though I replaced everything, it just sucks. Alright, so let me bring you back around this way. Now that I should be able to do that. So there it is. We have our hole in our transmission tunnel. So this is going to end up ultimately getting I think rib nutted in. I'm going to use a pretty beefy nut there, something pretty big. But you can see for this portion here, we are not touching the transmission tunnel at all. So that's why we wanted to get a plate, which, wow, this is going great. I also misplaced it. It's probably under my knee somewhere, huddled in this back little corner. It is. Of the car. Alright, so purpose of this plate here, guys. Let me try and hold this carpet out of the way. Great. Trying to hold everything and film. Alright, let's see if that'll. Give me 1 sec. I'm going to tape this up out of the way. Which we have to do anyway once we weld it down. Not a big deal. Alright. Got that out of the way. Kind of jammed in here in this little corner, so it's a little tight. But, you know, we need something kind of sit right around in there. And you can see that our mounting brackets here aren't even close. So we're probably going to have to box that in, which I don't really want to. But I got to figure out something. I may even end up cutting this off because I don't know how it's going to fit with the seat. Since we have bigger seats and everything, I fear that there could be some interference. Or, you know, with this cable, maybe this cable's fighting against us to where we could get it a little bit closer. No, not really. So we can't really get it any closer. This is where it lives with the center console. So, you know, it's basically kind of got to go right there. So what we did was we made this plate, and essentially the idea here was we could have a plate for all this to sit on. So I needed, you know, drill a hole in this plate that's big enough to allow this all to pass through and kind of weld that in to the transmission tunnel. So it'll weld into the transmission tunnel, something like that, and then that will allow the you know, everything kind of mount and stay flat. And then this hole here, we're going to cut out a hole in the transmission tunnel, but there's going to be a hole in here to allow this gasket and everything to seal up nicely, and then we hopefully will keep water and everything out. And then this will be boxed in just a little bit. Again, I'm hoping we don't have any interference with the seats. Didn't really think about that. I think we're going to be okay. Oh man, I really am hoping we're going to be okay. I guess we'll find out once we get there. I know it's kind of tight with the seats, but you know, I kind of want emergency brake, so if that's the case, I might just have to shift the seat over a little bit, or end up shifting this over and then putting it in like an offset or something. Wow, that is some crazy wind. We're getting about 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts right now in 30-degree weather. It's lovely. Yeah, so all we're going to do now, guys, is we got to cut this hole. So what we're going to end up doing is pulling this guy out. I'm going to kind of, you know, measure this hole here, which I'm planning on just, you know, using a step drill bit, kind of putting it right in the middle. Probably go a little bit big with the step drill bit. I have more. And, you know, we'll have to knock out this little bracket down here. Is that just a pin? Can we knock that out? Ooh, I think I can. I think I can just remove this bolt. Yeah, and then pull that out. Have a nice plate. It's going to sit right in here. And once it sits in there, then we'll weld it. So I just need to get a measurement here, drill a hole essentially in the middle, and then we're going to have to weld that guy in to our location. So what I'm going to do is mark it so we have an idea. Now we are going to have to remove all of the sound deadening through here, and I think I threw the rest of it away because I was just like, you know, I'm probably never going to use it again. Of course we do. Alright, I got nothing to mark with, not a big deal. So let's use this knife and get a spot of where to remove the sound deadening. We're going to go just a little bit bigger, just so we have some room to play with and to weld this thing on. I honestly think this might be easier to just cut this off, actually, with a utility knife here. Perfect. So we've got our spot. Let's go ahead and remove. And see if we can like cut this back. It's baked in through the summer, so I don't think it's going to come up very easy. I don't see myself having to go down really much further, but I am going to be adding a different set of seat belts, and I think I have to weld in a different bracket for the anchor as well in this area. So might be better to cut, more than I need to now. Oh, this is gonna be just actually, it's going kind of good. Now I'm gonna wreck this blade, but that's fine. Honestly, this is going significantly better than I would have thought. You kind of saw at it while you're kind of peeling it. Actually, super good. Heck, that went significantly better than I thought that was going to go. Cool. Now we need to sand it down, get ready for welding, and drill out our other plate. Throw this one away. I will update you guys here in just a minute. Welcome back, guys. This is after we got our plate made. You can see I'm holding it up. This is the look that we are essentially going for. So where that blue screwdriver is, that is going to be mounted with a riv nut down to the transmission tunnel for our handbrake itself. And then you can see our plate I'm kind of holding underneath. And what that does is it gives that big rubber gasket a nice place to sit. And, we should be rocking and rolling from there. The only thing else we got left to do is for this cable, trying to hold everything right here. So this cable that it actually goes to the brake line and everything. We're going to have to put a hole in the transmission tunnel for that to go through, and it looks like it has just a little retainer. Let's actually hold a nice little retainer, kind of like a brake line that you would have right here. So what I'm thinking is we'll do probably like a 1-inch hole, and then I'll just put a 1-inch like grommet in here, and we can shove that through there, and we should be good to go from there. As far as this plate goes, took a little while to get that thing drilled out, but hey, we got it. It's basically just going to get welded into the trans tunnel and some type of orientation like that, and then I will probably just cut some triangles and do like little gussets. I don't have a dimple die or anything, but instead of boxing that whole thing in, I don't know if that's going to be necessary, just because we are going to have we're going to have a grommet in the trans tunnel for the actual cable to go through. So I don't think we need to box it in for weather or anything like that. And this car is definitely not 100% weatherproof as is right now anyway. So I think we're going to be all right. I don't know. I may end up boxing it in. It might be even just a little bit easier just to box it in and, throw carpet up on there. I don't think, carpet or anything like that is going to get in the way. This is how this here works. This is, as far as I can tell, this is this silvery looking stuff. It seems to be like a heat shielding protectant of the actual line itself. So I think that's actually awesome, considering we got, you know, our drive shaft and exhaust kind of right underneath this transmission tunnel too. So I think we're going to be all right. I have not even checked yet, now I'm thinking about it, exactly where this is going to land in relation to the transmission, but this T5 is not big, and when I looked through this hole, we were actually all right. There was really no concern. It's gonna be kind of hard for you guys to see, but you know, we got plenty of room. I might be able to get on the bottom side just to show you guys real quick. Poke my screwdriver through. Let's see, on the bottom side here, let me show you guys where we're at in the bottom. But you'll see we have plenty of room. Well, it's kind of hard to see. There is our screwdriver. Let me get a light. Okay. So there is our screwdriver. Hitting the exhauster up there, so we should be fine. Bring that right down the transmission tunnel, all the way to the back. But all right, we'll update you here once we make more progress. I think that's where we're gonna end it for the night though. Okay guys, here it is. We got that welded on up. I'd say it's tacked in there pretty darn good. I still think I'm gonna add some gussets to the sides here somehow. I need to figure out, by putting the console back on, I'm gonna have to cut this down. Obviously this is way too wide to fit the console, so I'm thinking I'm gonna have to cut it somewhere way back in here, enough to get that hole, and then bring it back around. I may even have to notch the console just a little bit. It's something I didn't think about when I placed this. With how wide the console is, so we're gonna have to find that out once this kind of cools down. Had some okay spots at welding. Every now and then I do enough that's not necessarily the most embarrassing to pass and show on YouTube, but I would say probably 99% of the time it's pretty embarrassing. And you know, some of these I got some pretty good penetration stuff. Trying to get in there so you guys can really see it. So really ugly. It's just is it the nature of the beast with one of these little welders. But you know, I think if I sand that down real quick, hit that with the sander, I think we're gonna be all right. So you can see it's already moving the entire, if I move that, it moves the entire metal on the transmission tunnel, which is crazy. So I think we're pretty solid. But again, once I sanded all this down all underneath here, to, you know, all this soundproofing and stuff, which you know, this peeled up pretty good, but even to get all that junk off of this, I mean, it took way longer than I would have expected. So anyway, so we got most of that all cleaned up down here. So I think what I'm going to do is get the sander out, just sand all this down to kind of see where I'm at. I had to kind of fill some of the spots, and I haven't had to fill anything in a while. I honestly just do a lot of tacks on stuff and then come back in and kind of stitch weld. So doing a run like this, not exactly super familiar with it, and then trying to fill the different planes, so you had to kind of like get in there and then kind of build it up and bring it over. And well, I'm just not good at it, so that's all there is. I mean, it's stuck together, it doesn't look good, and you know, luckily again, this is where nobody will ever see it besides you guys on YouTube here. But I'm gonna try and clean it up a little bit and then see if I need to add anything to start. I kind of messed up here at the beginning, kind of started hitting this sound editor here, and you can see I kind of hit it in a couple different spots. It's just kind of hard to see. It's pretty much dark out right now, so really trying to get in there and see things is a little bit difficult, but you know, we're learning. I haven't got the weld in a while, so I'm kind of excited. I actually got to fire up the welder and do something, you know, and getting comfortable. Turned up my wire speed just a little, and then ended up running my heat right about halfway up there, and that seemed to do pretty good on the heat there, and that seemed to get pretty decent penetration, and start sticking a lot better. So I probably could turn up the heat a little bit more just because it's 1/8 inch, to be honest, but I think we're good. I forgot that there's a little chart that tells you, so I should check that out, see what it says to do. But oh well, we're gonna sand this down and see where we end up. It's kind of hard to see, but we have it in the console, and we're off a little bit. Sorry, it's just kind of hard to see. So we're off a little bit. I know it's gonna be kind of hard to tell, but essentially we're ½ inch towards the driver's side right now. Whole thing needs to go over to the passenger side, and you can see it's kind of bowing, and that is because right around in here, I'll touch it with my foot, that's right where our plate is. So I need to trim that plate up that's holding that bracket. It's like right in this area here, and it's not allowing the whole thing to go over to the right just a little bit. And you can also see it's not straight, the console. So I'm going to try and show you guys. So essentially it is kind of angled towards the passenger side. The whole thing needs to be shifted this way, but I can't do that because of that little mounting bracket that we built. That's just too big. I'm going to have to trim that down. But I am glad to report that I don't know if you guys will see down in there, we got the carpet and everything in. Ooh, okay, and that right there is our hole for our mounting bracket, which means we have everything fitted up right. It's kind of right up over there. I'm gonna try and stick something, a little screwdriver, but I'd have to trim back the carpet a little bit. But our hole is, ooh, I can't see anything. Right there. Come on. Oh, I just had it lined up. Come on. Oh, dang it. Hold on here, guys. I gotta find it. Just had it in there, lined up, and that moved everything. Alright. Come on. So I can't quite get my screwdriver or anything down in there more. But you can see our hole is right there. Everything is lined up, and you can kind of see the plate. It is, oh man, that's really hard to see for you guys. Let me see, maybe if I, heck, it's hard for me to see. There's no light. Oh, jeez. All right. And there's nowhere to set anything without falling over. Let me see if I can crank this thing up. Gotta get down in there. No, not really. Alright, well, it's kind of hard to see, but we are very, very close. We have our holes lined up where that screwdriver is for our mounting plate. It is sitting nice and flush, but I can feel the metal plate sticking right into this, and it won't allow it to move over it at all. So if I could take just a little bit off that, which I can, that would allow us to push the entire console back over in the orientation it needs to be. So that'll probably be not too bad. Don't know if I'm gonna have time to do that tonight, unfortunately, just because I'm really struggling to see. So I need to get a couple of my other lights charged up and get in here. But let me show you kind of where it's at with the console removed. Let's see. I think I just pulled that up. Probably gonna need both hands. Give me 1 second, guys. Oh man, now that one's just blinded me. Set this console over here for the night. I don't really have anywhere to set that. So, put this guy in there. And then this will give a better idea of what we got, you know, what we're working with here. Show you guys. So, here it is. You can see it's almost in place. It's very, very close. Now this screwdriver is purely just to hold our mounting bracket down, and you can see our bushing right here. It's not all the way flat, so as soon as we get that into orientation and flat, you can see that we are sitting pretty dang good overall. Now I don't know how this exactly fits on the regular Mustangs, but I think I'm going to bring this side kind of in, and I need to get this emergency brake square. Right now it's not exactly square. If I bring this down, you can see it. If I kind of let it sit, it has a tendency to kick out. Exactly the same issue we're having on the other side, where the whole thing kind of shifts there, pointed towards the passenger side. Now where this handle goes through the console, we have plenty of room. So if it's not exactly perfect, I don't think we're going to run into any issues. But I think we can just turn that to get it squared up somewhere right around in there. You see if I just kind of kick that just a little bit of pressure, it gets it, I believe, in the right position where it needs to be, which is just awesome. And it's going to live somewhere right around in there. So pretty stoked about that. Next up, we are going to have to figure out how we are going to mark our holes, and I think I'm just going to riv nut these in. I think with these riv nutted and those in, I don't think I really need to add any gussets. That is plenty strong as is, so I think we're just going to leave that, and I think it's honestly going to be fine once everything's bolted down. And yeah, that should be good. I tried cutting back the carpet. I did cut a little too much, but hey, it is what it is. Here is our cable. So we're just going to put a hole kind of back in the transettle, kind of backwards, because that's naturally where it wants to go for the the pass through of the actual handbrake cable, and it's going to come out essentially right around in this area. And once it comes out right around in this area, then it'll connect back to the brake line. So we'll mount that up, and then those will be connected to the rear brakes there. So I think once we get it outside of the car, the cable, I think we're going to be sitting in pretty good shape. And I don't know exactly how to run the lines or anything. I grabbed some universal ones, but quite frankly, I don't know if I'm going to end up doing that or not. I might hit a point here where I might end up taking it somewhere and getting a couple things done just so we can enjoy it this year. But yeah, we are very, very close to having it, just a little bit that way. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get a measurement kind of on some spacers and everything I need here. I think if I had kind of feeling it out, like a 1/2 inch spacer on the back and probably the same on the front, I can just put a nice bolt through here, probably like a 5/16 bolt, something kind of big. That way this thing is solid and doesn't move. And I think I'm just going to riv nut that into the transmission tunnel, and then just have that like metal, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch metal sleeve that'll act as a spacer, and just a nice big bolt. And then we're going to trim this guy down. Kind of looking at it, you can tell it obviously needs to be trimmed down. Just kind of looking, it's obviously a little bit big, as we can see, so I think I need to bring it in, and it looks like we could cut off about probably 1/2 inch or so and really help bring that in. Yeah, because I don't think we really need all this, so I'll probably scribe a line right here up against this bushing, and then just go on the other side of the line and try and get that as tight as I can. That way we shouldn't have any interference with the console itself. I can tell you that I think I'm going to have to end up cutting the bottom of the console. The more that I've been fitting this on and off, it's just not quite there. It's close, but I think it is going to need to be addressed. I think I'm just going to cut off these bottom tabs here. I will say the only issue I'm noticing that I think is going to cause problems with it actually sitting kind of nice and flush is actually the cubby itself. So this is a pretty deep cubby. I'd like to keep it as is and not have to try and fill it. But if you go on the bottom side here, kind of where it mounts, these mounting tabs right here, that adds quite a bit of height to the back, and I can see that it's not going down right here. So I don't know if there's a piece that can like clip in to kind of hide this, this portion right through here or not, or if I just bolt it down, probably with these fasteners. Again, I'll probably just put some riv nuts and just call it good, and there might be just a little gap right here. Again, you'll never see it, but if I can get it maybe sitting down flush, then I'll cut them out. Right now I'm going to keep them, and I think I'd rather have that little bit of a gap, because again, you're like never going to see it, and then I'll have two good mounting locations for the console, utilizing the factory locations. And then if it feels fine and like ergonomically it feels like it should be there, then I'm probably going to keep it. But if it feels pretty bad, I'll cut these out, and I think that'll really fix bringing it down and getting it kind of flush. And then I could probably just redo these, but this seems like these are like reinforced plastic, these mounting points, for a reason. So I'd rather keep some structure, especially because I don't know exactly how I'm going to attach it up to the front side of the car. It typically clips in, so I'm going to have to find somewhere to kind of hide a screw or a bolt. I thought it had somewhere in these, like, I think they're called knee pads. Oh no, it has something more so up here. So I don't exactly know what I'm going to do here. Probably going to have to run a bolt somewhere in here, so into the transmission tunnel on the side. So, but yeah, guys, really happy with the progress tonight. I always like it when I get to get out and weld, especially when I'm going to do it in a while. Pretty happy with the welds overall for my level of competency, which is not as good as 99% of you guys out there. I've seen a lot of work on YouTube, and man, I feel like everybody can whip out way better welds than me. But we're learning, we're getting there. Happy with this project. I'm gonna keep you guys updated tomorrow. Off camera, I might just cut this really quick, and I might drill a couple holes. But I gotta see, what we got going on. It's getting kind of dark and cold, so I'm kind of over it and don't want to get too burnt out. Anyway, thanks guys. I'll be back to you probably tomorrow. Next day, you guys, as promised, I was going to give you a better update during the light, and you can see we went ahead and vacuumed everything out, got everything cleaned up. We are looking pretty dang good. I'm really excited with how this turned out. This is essentially close to its resting position. I still think I got it just a little bit off, and I'm just going to kind of fine-tune that off camera. I'm just going to kind of play with it, get a good measurement. I have essentially my center line here that I used with this stitching. Is essentially right where it should be, and I'm kind of going off that center vent right up there for a center point as well. And then we're kind of working too with the ends of the dash, of the console, and where they kind of go up into the dash. So we're trying to balance all that out. Next up, I still have to mount this thing actually through into the floor. So the only way I can really accomplish that is we do have 2 bolt holes that are under here. So I think I'm just going to riv nut those as well. So let me move everything out. I have the brake components going through the floor, which I'll show you guys that in just a second. Just getting that out of there. I think this just comes out. Yeah, so there's a little rubber mat. Then we have 2 mounting locations right here, and I'm going to continue to use those mounting locations. I think that'd be really nice and easy. Just to go ahead and put those in there and call it good. And then I think down the line too, I'm going to try and figure out a way to get power to both of these, because that'd be kind of cool just to have a nice USB to have some power in there and keep the functionality of it. So if I want to power in there, I can just kind of hide it. I think that'd be really neat. So what I'm going to end up doing is you can't go off the carpet here because it's not exactly the flattest or anything. So we have to kind of shift everything where it needs to be. And I mean, I had it pretty close. I just moved it, unfortunately. But what I'm thinking about doing is, using the center point of where that vent is, which we know should be the center of the car. It's going to be very, very close. That center vent right there, the dash where my finger is. And I'm thinking I'm going to throw my laser line on it. And once I get my laser on there, I think I'll be able to go on ahead and get everything figured out in terms of exactly where it is. I think it's really close right now, and I think we're pretty close. So I think once we get these 2 mounted, we'll have that nice and down. And I mean, we're pretty much going to call it that. I will have to do some work on that shifter, which that'll probably be a separate video because that's going to require some work. And then I don't exactly know how I'm going to mount the front side of the console up to the dash. So I was looking, and it has plastic mounting locations. You can see this one a little bit better right here for a screw to actually bring that in nice and tight. And I think if I could utilize that somehow, maybe to pull that together might be kind of nice. There's a random bracket underneath the car right here, but it just doesn't quite fit. So I was thinking maybe I could extend that. I don't exactly know what I'm going to do yet for the front. It might even fit pretty well with just the front being as is and it kind of floating up there. I just don't know yet. So that's something we have to figure out. And I also need to figure out how to make some type of block off plate or something for in here as well. I don't know. Oh, there's actually two bolts right here. Maybe I could put a standoff or something. No, that's pretty close to the shifter hole. Let me go show you guys what a shifter hole is too, because we're right in here. So it almost fits pretty good. We do have a Hurst shifter on here, but it's not quite perfect. One thing I will say that I didn't account for was the curvature of the transmission tunnel. It is not straight. Everything kind of funnels up. So when I welded on my bracket for the emergency brake handle, you can see it's not exactly straight with the actual console itself. So we are going to run into a little bit of issues once we fully pull this thing up. you can see it kind of hits the console. Now I think once I have the console actually bolted down, it's not going to be as bad. And I think when I was messing with it just the other day, last night, if I kind of push it over to the left and actually have it mounted, I can pull it up almost all the way before it hits or anything. So we might prematurely, rub out some of the leather, unfortunately, or something over time. But I really don't think, once we get it, will be too bad. Just a little bit off there, unfortunately, is what it is. I didn't even think about it, but I still think it's going to look pretty sweet. Underneath the car, we ran the emergency brake cable through a grommet down here, just a 1-inch grommet. I haven't seen it under the car yet. I don't exactly know where it landed, other than it's about halfway underneath the car near the drive shaft. That's about all I can tell you. So we'll have to mount that and then run the cables for the emergency brake handle to the brakes themselves. I currently don't have anything set up for the emergency brake system at all, so I'm not entirely sure what all I'm going to do there. I have the lines ready, but I don't know how to get them to the actual drum brakes yet, so I'm going to have to figure that out. But guys, we're getting close. Getting close with the interior, so pretty happy with it all, and I think that'll be it. So with that being said, guys, thank you all for the support. I will continue to try and get updates out when I can. If you guys have any comments or any helpful information, please leave them below so we can assist others along their Mustang restoration journey. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.